With the release of verified web platform 1.5, there are a few functions and features to point out to new users. First of all, the dashboard has been changed to your My Verified screen, and you'll notice that we have a drop-down box on the top left-hand side that allows you to select photos that are shared with you or photos that are part of your account. Next to this box, you may see a link saying Set up custom fields. This is a new feature that we'll talk about later. Let's take a look at some of the basic functionality. By expanding the icon on the left-hand side of your photo album, you can view a photo reel of all the photos within the album. Each of these photos may be associated with different context data previously captured. There are also a number of icons to the right-hand side. Some of these you may recognize from previously. Let's take a look at the first icon. The first icon takes you into a grouped view which displays each of your photo categories and the number of photos within them. So for example, in our sample data set here, Access Security has 2 subcategories and 4 photos in that album. If we expand the photo reel down, we can see the 4 photos, or we can click on subcategories to see what subcategories appear within there. And here you can see we have fences and gates. If we go back to the top level, we can expand any or all of the photo reels to view the photos within those categories. There is no limit to the number of photos you can have in a photo reel, and for example here we have 30 photos under 10 subcategories, and we can scroll through the photos to find the one that we want to see. You may note there are also a number of action icons on the right hand side that will also give us some functionality that relate to these grouped views. From here we could delete a sequence of photos from the group view by clicking on the delete button. I'll click cancel for this one. We can also share this particular subset of grouped photos by clicking on the share link, and here I can share the photos as either a link or with an individual user attached to my account. For now, we're going to click on the Modify Data icon, and this will give us a screen where we can change any of the information that relate to this subset of photographs. So for example, this is one of our grouped views. We know it's in the album Camp Calais inspection. There are a number of categories associated with this particular album. We have a number of tags associated with it and the people it's shared with. Editing this is very simple, just by clicking on the Edit icon and selecting either a new album, or perhaps if I want to create a new album for it, I can do another album name here. We'll call this Second Test. Now you can see that these photographs will be associated with the new album name Second Test. As all of the icons are selected with the blue outline, all 30 will be placed into this new album. If I wish to show just a subset of the photos and change just a subset to Second Test, I can do so by just highlighting the ones that I want. At the bottom of the screen, when changes have been made, I can click on Save. For now, I'm going to close the window so no changes are made. One of the great new features in web version 1.5 is the ability to change album names very quickly. For example, here you can see the album is called Camp Calais Inspection, and I might want to change that. By clicking on the Edit icon, I can now overwrite the text that was previously in here, and we'll call this Hello World. If I click on Rename, it will rename the album for me. To rename it back, I can click on the Edit icon and change it to Camp Calais Inspection. By clicking on Rename, it renames the album. A very simple rename process. Let's take a quick look at how the search functionality works. If I click in the Smart Search box at the top of the screen and type in a search term, the search will go through any albums and look for an album that matches Building. Currently we don't have an album named Building, but I do know that we have an album that has a category called Buildings within it. If I clear the search filter by clicking on the X and then use the drop down to select categories, tags and albums and now search for building, I can find any photographs that match categories, tags or albums, and here you can see there is 30 photos that are in a category called buildings. If I expand those out, I can see the photos individually on our photo reel, and when I locate the photo that I want to see, I can click on it to view it in a large format. If we check the context data by clicking on the information icon on the top right, we should see that the category is down as buildings. So let's take a look at how custom fields work. By setting up custom fields, I can enter the name of the field. In this case, it's going to be the condition, as in the condition of the building. And I'm going to apply this to several of the photos in my photo set. The order relates to where it is positioned on the drop-down box on your My Verified screen. I'm going to allow this field to group my photos together and make it a primary group. By clicking Save, it creates the custom field and gives me options here to edit and delete or add further grouping if I want to. I'm going to return back to My Verified, and in this sample photo set, if I go into my categories, I have several buildings already categorized. So we have 10 subcategories, and if I view my photos, and I'm going to gradually take some of these photos and assign them a condition value. So for example, in Scout Cabin 1, if I go into my photos and select individual photos and click on the Edit Context Data icon, at the bottom of this screen I now have an option for custom fields. Currently 4 photos are selected that have no custom field associated. I want to change that, and here it gives me a value for my custom fields. So for my condition, I'm going to say this is in poor condition, and I click on Save. If I go back to my buildings subcategory and select the second cabin, again I can select the individual items, change my context data, and at the bottom of the screen edit and associate the condition value for these as being in fair condition, and once again save those changes. If I go back to my buildings in the breadcrumbs at the top there, I can now select a further building, and I will take the main cabin and once again select one or more photographs and edit my context data at the bottom of the screen, edit the custom fields, and with these ones I'm going to also mark these as poor. Once again I save them. So now we have a number of photographs that are associated with various conditions as a custom field in our data set. If I return to My Verified, I now have the option here to view things by grouping. So I can either view by album, as we have here, or I can select condition, and it will filter my data to show me any photos that match the condition codes. So these are the values that I put in, fair or poor. If I click on the drop-down link next to them, you can see more information about these photographs. So for this, there's 3 photos that match one category. This is for the fair condition. And those that I marked as poor, and you'll remember that we used 2 buildings here, I have 7 photos that have a poor condition value. And again, I can click through and view those photos. You can see how powerful the custom field value can be in adding further filters and functions to the data sorting within your data set.